But we've decided what it's going to be a fun little challenge is combined subscribers just between YouTube and TikTok. Once the video goes live later this week, we'll start the countdown. And for every subscriber I get on YouTube or TikTok, I will do a forged chain link. And we will see how far or how big we can make the chain. I got some skinny spring that I'll stretch out and cut into 4 or 5 inch pieces and start prepping for chain links. And then maybe that'll be how I start the stream off until we get them all caught up by doing a quick chain link. So tell your friends, tell your mama, subscribe. I'll make a big old chain. We'll see how big we can make that chain. Are you going to want the punch to squish that down, or are you going to leave it proud?
Probably need to push that down.
All right. And as I'm always preaching, get your tools ready before you need them.
So you said straight down?
Yeah. Up top. Now lay it down flat and then give it. There you go. Now start your next curl. So you have a hump right there, and I feel like that's going to fight you. So if you go, let's do a trick I like to do on these things. Hold the stick across the length of the angle. Pull your tongs off the angle. And so you can see how that big curve is there. So if you just flatten it, like just smack my ass, you'll be good.
Yeah.
Yep, scale is hot.
Okay, I'm going back in.
Yep, go for it. It's another lesson from Kurt from Custom Blacksmithing in Atlanta, Indiana. Find them on the Googles. Keep it contained. So on our piece is starting to bow on us, and we don't want to have to fight that bow. So you take a second, give it a couple of smacks to bring it true, keep it contained. Do you want extra hands on this next step?
Yeah, I'll need extra hands.
Remember, smack and then tap the anvil with the tool. You ready?
Well, that worked out pretty well.
That looked pretty good on that first hit.
I think so. Yeah, if you're happy, I'm happy. It's your piece. I think we're on a pretty good camera angle for that because my arm probably would have blocked all the work anyways.
Probably.
So you won't be able to see this on the camera, but I'm going to show Levi a thing real quick, and hopefully the explanation will come through. So Levi, if you come over here, you can see that we got a lot of crunchy coal out on the edges of the fire. That's coke. So what you want to do is grab a doodad, and you want to smack that coke down into the pit. We don't want a big hollowed out fire because you can be a little bit more aggressive. There you go. Push that whole lump over into the middle. There you go. Whee! Yeah, there you go. Now if you do the same thing over here, there you go. Now grab your rake.
You'll want to grab your piece before you burn it.
Yeah, go ahead and pull your piece out. Ooh, we got good heat. So start on the next scroll. So grab your rake and start up here and just rake it to the fire and see if you can cover a little bit. There you go. Same thing this time. Your fresh coal is right there, so you want to protect the edge. So you don't necessarily want a fresh coal in the fire. You can bring coal and put it on smoke signal. So it's on the edge of the fire. And you can slap it back in and back in. That's what you're doing over here. Awesome. Cool. So now you're ready to start the next layer. Oh, I forgot to tell people about the stream today. Okay, selection and the service is impeccable. They're all just incredibly personable, lovely people. Too cold. You know, we could probably tune that fan down just a touch. Just a touch. Correcting that air gap in the downshoot really boosted up that fan.
Better static pressure.
Yeah, you can roll that. So do you know what you're doing here?
Like I'm just brushing backwards more?
Nope. You want the scroll to be falling down?
Oh, and I'm gonna.
Yep. You want to give yourself a little bit more room? There you go. Hammer straight down a little bit more. You're going to end up with a really wonky. Keep going. Everything you're doing is just right on the straight down. Yep, keep going.
Straight down?
Yep, you got it. Now, hold it over the edge so it's falling down. And then hammer back against the anvil.
Like
Yep,
this?
there you go. Keep going. Keep going. All right, get her hot. You're going to warp it before you get to where you're going, so we'll just get that hot. I forgot to switch the camera, but that's quite all right. So yeah, chain links for subscribers on YouTube and TikTok. I'm not going to include Instagram, which you can find me on Instagram, Brimstone4GOS. I'm not going to do that because I've already got like over 100 followers on Instagram, and I don't want to start the chain with 150 links. I'm probably going to require extra hands too when I get past 10 links because that's going to be a lot of metal to manage all at once. Back to Levi here.
Trying to close up some of my gaps. No, not that way.
Can you, so that part that rose up proud that you're not proud of, can you use this little hump there and upside down?
Maybe. My problem is there's a gap right there.
Oh, I see what you're going for. See, I see you're getting off kilter a little bit. And I'm afraid the row you're working on is going to rise over it.
Again.
Yeah. So if you would, did you have enough room to get in there? There you go.
I still have that gap right there, but
Well, we can fix that on the next seat. Got to keep that contained so you don't make more work for yourself. Anybody else notice how incredibly hot it is? The humidity is like 485,000% right now, and we're standing in the sunshine next to a coal fire.
my face is turning into Niagara Falls.
Just like that. Now flatten it. So since you're kind of oblong, I would stand it up proud and then just give it a couple of smacks straight down and see if you can't make that round again. There you go, that's getting there. All right, get her hot. Yeah.
I think I might try and look it around a little bit more and smack it. Because otherwise I'm struggling to get a good angle on my...
Well, what I was trying to say earlier, and I may have not been clear, but if you can get the hook part, like your captain hook down in there, and use this hump, you may be able to flatten it a little bit easier. And I would do that first, personally, before I try the next row, because it looks like it's trying to climb out of whack.
It's always trying to climb out of whack.
Yeah. So yeah, if you can get that in there, and then hammer flat, that way you're not trying to contend with the hook around the hammer.
Hey, and that gave me the angle I needed to close that up too. Cool.
Yeah. So I know I'm usually the one doing most of the hammering and stuff, but I figure the point here is to take a couple of novices here, Levi, this is probably the 6th time he stepped up to an anvil. This is Brittney's 3rd time. Because you did your S hook, second project, 3rd time at the anvil. And I want to show how accessible. Now, it's a hard skill, so I don't want to say it's easy because some folks struggle more than others, me being one of those struggle bus people. Yeah, I just want to show how accessible it is. It's not that difficult to do. Levi and I were talking the other night that if in a pinch, if you had to, off the edge, start your next roll. Yeah. So if you had to, with limited space and limited resources and stuff, a person could, I don't know if Harbor Freight's outside the States, but in the States, you can go to Harbor Freight, get yourself a little, what do they call those, like map gas torches. You could probably do it with one of those blue canister ones.
I don't think straight painting would be. It might work for mild steel.
Real thin pieces, real small pieces. So you could use that and get the, what, $80, you're getting there.
It's scrolly.
Yeah. You could get, so like I was saying, you could get a torch kind of like that. I'm kind of blending in there with my shirt. To heat up some small mild steel, get yourself like the $80 Harbor Freight cast iron anvil and go out in the front yard, sit on the driveway and tinker around. Very accessible, so that's why we're having the beginners do the work here. You can see Levi's using a bending fork or bending wrench, however you want to call it, to start his scroll because it's awkward as heck to work these scrolls with that hook in there and with as big as they're getting with that hook. I'd imagine a scroll that big without the hook would be easy to manage. That hook really amps up the challenge. You know, that's a pretty decent sized hook. You could, yeah, I would correct that, bow if you got enough heat to do it.
I don't think I have enough heat to do that.
But you could start rolling up the other side to close that gap.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try and get it to about right there, and then I'll switch this one to roll up.
Yeah, so I would think if you put it up like that, so the camera can see it there. So I would think if you close that air gap that you have right there, close that until it's basically off that way, and then bend it 90, and then pull that up. That'll pull out the rest of that metal. Did that make sense, or was I speaking too?
I think so.
vaguely?
Basically, what I was saying, continue to roll it up to about right there, and then I can roll this.
You're going to want to kick it off that 90. Do we have one? Where you come out and then you pull it back out so it more lines up with the center.
I was just going to roll them right to each other.
Right to each other, all right.
And then use that, get this hot, and
Tweak it with the wrench.
Yep.
I wouldn't do that with a hammer, personally.
yeah, no. But probably the first thing I'm going to do is get it hot overall. And
Correct that bend.
yeah.
Miss Brittney, you're ready to start your next girl. I think you got a lot of heat going on there. So yeah, go get yourself a little torch, a little anvil, get some friends over, start making stuff. It's good for you. Yeah. Do it like a pro. Look at this. Nice. I love that she's making this look so easy.
Right? Make me feel bad for how much I'm struggling with mine.
Yours is way harder than what I'm doing, though.
Maybe Brittney should take over this channel and start teaching.
I'm good.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, don't leave tools on the ground, Levi.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Being a slacker.
Just blame it on the heat.
Heat drunk.
Heat exhaustion.
Nope, that's not enough. Nowhere near enough.
Doop, doop, doop. So I was looking at the analytics for the videos today, and I noticed that we got a copyright flag on one of the videos.
What?
Like,
Is it
what?
one of mine?
And I thought maybe it was from that dude riding by on the motorcycle blasting music. But no, it was the 5-minute video that Brittney edited together that had music along with it. And we just threw it up there. We'll see how it plays out. And what's funny is it's a 5-minute video, and they didn't copyright flag it until 4 minutes and 18 seconds into it when it switched to a different song. But that artist allows their music to be on YouTube, so it didn't take down the video, nor did it mute it. It just put a copyright flag on it. So that was kind of neat. But it's funny that there's 4 minutes of one song on there, and when it switched to the other song, then it hit the copyright.
I don't know if I could have done that. I just went for it. So.
You're fire.
It
Your
works.
piece. Which it makes me wonder if there is a comprehensive list out there of what music YouTube will allow. So on days when I just come out here to beat metal to make things for the store, I wonder if I can have music playing in the background and just make a playlist of just songs that YouTube allows, so I can listen to music while
Oh, I'm sure Spotify has one of those.
like there's lots of playlists out there of royalty-free music that you can use, but it's mostly instrumental tracks of things that no one's ever heard of. I would scrape that hole off.
I think that's pretty close to flat. Big end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really close to throwing a baseball cap, and I was like, that's.
I wear a hat to keep the sweat out of my eyes because the hat is much more appealing than those sponges with an elastic band. Look on Instagram, you can see it.
That would require me to actually use Instagram.
I also have a do-rag in the Jeep that I can put on too to keep the sweat out of the eyes.
I feel like we need one or two more headphones.
Look at that.
That's not too shabby.
You're doing a wonderful job. Yeah, having fun.
Trying to not burn the metal.
Yeah, since you guys have metal in the fire and I do not at the moment, I'm going to check to make sure there's nobody in the chat.
Oh yeah, totally forgot about that.
I completely forgot until just now.
Uh-oh.
Are we not live?
We were. Which one?
There is a network error. Please try again on both.
Oh no! Yeah, there is a red icon over here.
Nope, we're still live on Twitch. I think maybe the laptop was upset.
Might have gotten just too hot.
Oh, no, we're still live. Laptop is being done. Doesn't appear to be anybody in the chat. What was the red thing that you were referring to, Mr. Levi?
The second icon in the middle.
It still says we're live, and the laptop showed up, so it'll be fine.
Great.
Sorry. I'm in the way of Levi, my truck's unlocked if you want to grab my do-rag. You flip that upside down.
Huh?
If you use that, and then give it a smack. There you go. Front seat.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm kind of shocked that it's not green.
I drive a blue truck.
Green ones in the Jeep.
Green one's in the Wrangler. Red one's on the boat. Blue one's in the blue truck. My boat is red, for the record. Heck, I'll give them a shout out. Hobie makes incredible sailboats. Love mine.
It's on the.
Got it up.
Nope, that's not going to help no more.
Grab it by the center.
Right here.
Just like that. Now stand it up proud on the cold spiral. Stand it up.
Right.
So if you hang onto that real tight and stand it up, then you can hammer straight down. That way the cold steel won't move. It'll act as a good base so you can let down when you get it hot.
That sounds like it.
Hot thing. Double check we're still live.
I'm sparkling. Oh no.
Did you lose it?
Oh,
What
no.
happened? It looks like you get to start over. Pull your other piece out of there because that'll turn into a really nasty clinker.
Where's that?
Can I push you out of the way? There it is. I'm gonna pull you out of there while we're fucking. Do you see it?
I feel like it's gonna be like right around here with the sparkle.
Watch out. You're going right where you're going, where you're at.
Okay, well, up until that point,
You were doing a wonderful job.
it was going okay.
So,
Our fire is hot.
Brittney learned an important lesson here that I'm going to take a second to point out. If you're not careful, and you're not paying attention to your piece, it will straight burn right off, as you guys watched me do 3 or 4 times last week. So, but if you look, that is a beautiful penny scroll. She did a wonderful job right up until it melted off. So, great penny scroll. But now she gets to start over if she wants to do it again.
He's dead.
Going on the hot shelf, nobody touch it because
Hot shelf is hot.
hot shelf is hot.
Can we put this on hot shelf too?
Are you done swinging?
No.
Stick it back in the fire. Now, when you start hammering on that, it's gonna like splatter junk out. So be mindful of that.
Roll those.
Thank you. Okay, and put them right back there. No, that can be hot.
Sorry about that.
It is very pretty penny scroll.
Until it wasn't.
All right, fun times. The way it goes sometimes. Like last week when I was making the fire poker dealie, I burned probably 6 inches off that metal over 3 or 4 burns. It happens. What's that internet meme? Sometimes it be that way. Makes me think of that video. There's a gentleman goes to a shooting range and he loads up his pistol and he's got the target out, about 21 feet, 25 feet. Numbers are hard. And he holds his pistol sideways and he emptied that mag and didn't even hit the paper. And when someone makes fun of him for it, he says, well, sometimes it's like that. That'd be much hotter.
Just squared her off a little bit. Not much.
When you work spring steel at too low temperature, it gets brittle and is prone to falling apart. Baby-doo-doo. Oh,
Sorry.
that's your leg that gets burned. You're giving yourself one hell of a gap in there, buddy.
Of course, I couldn't see it from the angle I was at.
That's why I mentioned it. Well, you can see that he's using all the angles of that anvil. That's what the anvil's designed like that for. You did a good job closing that gap. That took no time at all.
That was pretty freaking lucky. Alright, so I think now what I will wind up doing is bringing this curl over.
That's what I would do. You can probably get another half curl out of that and then squish it down a little bit so it's in line. Coming out very nice. Brittney, are you burning your piece off?
Maybe.
We'll see if Brittney's burning her piece off again.
It's not sparkling yet, so I'm gonna go with hopefully not.
Yeah, that's a good sign. Someone's been paying attention too. She knows to watch for that sparkle because then you done goofed.
Nice cherry color.
Might be able to get some metal moved with that.
Like the lack of grip that I have with the tongs right now, though.
So, since she's starting over, you guys start. Since it's a round piece, you got to do what, Brittney?
Make it a square.
And then once it's a square, then what do you do?
Make it more rounded, but not completely round. Taper.
Almost. There you go. We do a taper.
And then
And when the taper is where we want it to be.
You make it like an octagon. You hit the high points.
Yeah. So if you couldn't hear it because you were standing behind the microphone, you go square, taper, and then you hit the high points, which will make it an octagon, and then you smack that octagon until it becomes a hexadecagon. I think that's the right. I don't know. Math wasn't my strong point. And then you just keep chasing those high points, and then eventually you just rotate it, and then you make it round again. Right. And then once it's round, you will do what?
Hit it.
She'll hit it once it's round. Yeah.
I
Choose.
feel like you're gonna get hot before I do.
It's a tiny piece of further down there.
Getting way down in the pot too, so it's nice and hot there.
If you hold that piece straight with you'll have better grips.
It's just with it being so short, it's hard to get a good grip on it while it's in the fire.
Scale is hot.
yeah. Looking good.
Look at that. That's coming in nice and tight. Tight like a tiger. I would go other way down and then chase all the way around the outside and level that off. That looks very nice.
It does.
I'd get this section hot here, pull that hook around, and maybe use the punch to push it down flush a little bit.
It's kind of what I was thinking.
That's going to look real snazzy.
Trick will be getting that section hot and not burning everything else off.
Yep.
Yeah, that was my main complaint about the last one I made is I burnt the crud out of it.
Sure did. Get her out. Right behind you. We have yet to have a stream where all three of us are rocking the shirt at the same time.
No, I think the first one that you had, no.
This
Brittney
is the first
wasn't
time
on-
I've worn mine.
Yeah.
Ever.
He's been giving me crap about it. He's like, I haven't even seen you in your shirt yet.
Yeah.
Well,
I was running late and totally forgot about it.
Yeah, my buddy who's starting up his own printing customization business. I think I'm going to commission him to make the next ones out of a much thinner material. Maybe like a straight 100% cotton so it'll breathe. And yeah, maybe we'll do like a gray. Well, I know. Without,
Gray will be very apparent.
yeah.
black will, or gray will be almost probably be worse than the green.
Yeah, you're right. So we're just going to have to go with black.
Yeah. I think it's Under Armour makes a really nice blend that's really breathable.
That would be nice, but I don't like to wear that kind of stuff because, God's forbid, it gets really super hot or you drop something really hot on it. That stuff will burn into your skin, melt into it.
Turns into plastic. They have some blends that are more cotton than less. They'll get the job done.
Yeah. I think you're about ready.
Yep.
You want to punch it and then twist it?
That's what I was thinking, but I don't see the punch.
It's in my hand.
Okay.
Got the tools ready before we needed them.
Come in right on the top.
You want me to swing and you set?
Sure.
Oh, how about I just throw that at you instead?
Seems like something I would do.
I missed the camera thing, sorry. Ready?
Yep.
Ready?
Yep. One more. That looks pretty good.
Cool.
Now, heat up a little bit more.
Heat it up. Got your wrench ready. Here, pull that out of there real quick. I want to make sure that this is going to fit that. Yeah, it'll be enough so you can get it on there and then tighten it down. Oh, excuse me. So, Miss Brittney, what step are you on currently?
I'm tapering.
Tapering. I'll take an extra heat to correct that wonky.
Who's to say?
Your piece.
Let's see if I can grab this well enough. Twist.
Maybe. That means I'm doing your hook. So you want to get that part right. I can't get close enough to it, but the part that we were hitting with the punch, you want to get that hot. Because that's still too cold at the moment. You know what? You got. Oh, never mind. I was going to pull out the torch so we can just hit it right in that centerpiece with the heat. So what you can do is lay it on its side like that, and let it get hot for a while, and then do a 180. So the top part will get hot, and you can kind of keep working it back and forth until the center gets hot.
Sounds good. I just have to be patient.
Yep. And I would also, to add more steps, I would, with your tongs, hold the scroll closest to the wrench to give it some support.
That looks a little less wonky.
There you go.
Keep blowing the scale off the anvil, because scale is extraordinarily hard and tough. So if you put hot metal over the top of it and start hammering on it, that scale will leave imprints on the bottom side, and nobody wants that. I wonder if you could twist that hook around clockwise, because that'll promote the other rings to tightening up.
I'd be a little bit concerned about twisting
Twisting
it
it
off.
My same thoughts.
I was actually considering heating up the mid bar and twisting up there.
You could do that too.
I think that might be the better way around it. Because I also have a little bit more of a dip in there than I really want.
Yeah, that gap came from the previous twist take.
Yeah.
I think you might have the heat where you need it.
Breeze break.
Breeze break, I like that.
Huh?
I like that. Breeze break.
We were in marching band. Band camp.
Thank you.
Whenever we get even the slightest breeze, we would all yell breeze break, and the conductor would get really mad at us because we were
Not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
We're not supposed to be taking a break.
It's just going to I'm going to heat up near where my hook's at and try twisting there. Because, yeah, I'm struggling with that. So we'll try that. Right there. I'm just going to burn that off. Come on.
You know what, I have an idea. I will return very shortly. Somebody tell a story or an anecdote so it's not a bunch of dead air.
Not forever.
Not forever.
You wanted that sitting up, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like that?
Here. I can do as I can.
Yeah, I can just scoop mine out.
Grab yours, work on yours. Jeez. piece. Second one.
So if you use one wrench to grab high and one wrench to grab low, that'll isolate where you're putting that twist.
I'm gonna let you get out, and then once you're done, I'll go back in.
I appreciate that.
You want to use long
Yes.
These wrenches are the best. I love them.
So we're trying to go out on you.
Nope, she's choking along nicely. So yeah, if you grab the stem of the hook real low, you grab the stem and then you grab that first 90 on the hook, you'll have plenty to twist it out. You can get a hold of it. It's a little awkward.
Right. I need.
So I hate to knock it out of your hand, but what do you say you get that hot and let me take a crack at it?
Sure. Otherwise, I was just gonna try and grab down there.
Get her hot. Do a similar heat to what you just did. Like heat at about here to the tip.
I'll do my best.
And then I'll take a crack at it and see what happens. Blacksmithing is a team sport. The reason why we all can succeed and win. Hopefully Brittany's not burning her piece off.
No, I took it out of the heat.
Oh, she's out of the heats.
I just pulled it off to the side because the way I had in mind was kind
Oh,
of
I see that.
blocking it.
Okay, when I pulled mine out before, I knocked his piece over, so I figured I'd just be better off waiting for a minute.
Being a big old bully, are ya?
Me? Hey, I fixed it. Like, okay, I tried to fix it. Levi? Mom?
Your mommy's calling.
What?
Are you over at that boy's house playing with hot metal again?
Hello.
I don't like where that tip is. That tip is way down in there. I don't like that. So when your piece is real small, it wants to burn off real quick. And so I'm trying to keep the tip up out of the fire, but still get the hook part heated up. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. And when that gets to a comfortable heat, I'm going to grab the base of the metal with one wrench and grab the hook with the other and massage it into place. Should work out just fine. Hate to say it, but I think my cigar is done. Amazing cigars.
yet?
I have not burned anything off yet, but give me just a minute and I'll try to not disappoint. I'm trying to let that come up real slow because I don't want to burn off that tip, so we're just going to have to be patient.
Appreciate that.
We're going to have to be more patient than the piece. I used to enjoy a client when I did MSP work in IT, MSP, managed service provider. So we were the IT company for companies that couldn't afford to stand up their own IT company, so they would just outsource it to us. And they used to get quite annoyed with like all the Windows updates that would take forever. This was in the early days of 10, and it was very common, at least in our environments, that it would get like halfway through an update and then lock up. And you don't want to just reboot the thing in the middle of an update because you can really brick a box that way. And they used to call me up, it's been sitting like this for 2 hours. I need to do things. And I used to say, we just have to out-patience the computer. They used to get really annoyed at that. Well, I can't change Windows and how it works. This is one of the reasons why I'm a Linux guy now. Because if I don't like the way Linux is doing something, I can just freaking change it myself. Let's get down the load. Get that hook out of there. Now, Linux box, I do all sorts of profile adjustments. So when I log in, it reconfigures my shell to be exactly what I want it to be. Because it saves me a lot of time. At one point in time, I worked at a company that used a really, really old shell that they have no reason to use it, and it was so dang annoying. So I used to just set my profile up to come in correctly. That's a lot of nerdy stuff that we don't need to talk about while we're blacksmithing.
Yeah, blacksmithing makes you look cool.
Does it?
It evens it out when you start talking about the nerdy stuff.
I don't know. It's funny, when I was a referee for a women's flat track roller derby, it was amazing to me how many nerds were in that sport. Like, so many IT people. And then also a lot of like nurses and EMTs. And then a bunch of hairdressers, which I expected hairdressers. That makes sense, I guess. But it was weird that those groups always meshed together really well. Not always, but they meshed together really well. Like nerds and hairdressers. You wouldn't necessarily saw those folks at the same cafeteria table in high school. But in roller derby, they got along seemingly pretty well. I'm done being patient at the moment. So we're going to grab a hold of this, maybe. That's an awkward angle. I'm going to tighten that up and grab that guy. Get out of there. Get out of there. So now our hook is in line. And then we're going to get that hot and then correct it. Ran out of heat. Wish I would have flipped my camera, but that's okay. So we got the hook in line. Hook is in line for the most part, but it's got a little bit of a weird cant to it. Cant, it says. So it's got a weird cant, but it's in line, so the hard part's been taken care of. So I'm going to pass this back over to Levi and let him heat up and correct how it's fallen over a little bit. And yeah, I would just grab it by the scroll and then grab it up high on the hook and pull it back over so it's in line. Bada bang. Just that easy. So yeah. So what's the end game for this particular piece, Levi? Are you gonna do? You just gonna hit it with the wire wheel and clean it up and get rid of all the forge marks? Are you gonna brass it? Are you gonna paint it? What's your end game?
I'll probably just hit it with the wire wheel and clean it up. Thought about brassing it, but it's kind of a big piece, and they said you kind of need to do the brassing in one go. So that would be a little bit difficult for that.
Perhaps. Once you're done with the wire wheel part and you got it all cleaned up real nice, then we'll have to hit it with wax so it won't rust immediately.
Keep it nice and shiny.
Yeah. So all the wire wheel stuff, that's super uninteresting to watch and pretty self-explanatory. So once he has it finished on the wire wheel, then maybe next week we'll do the wax seal on it on the stream and show the final piece. So that's coming out much nicer than the last one.
Yeah.
Learned something about heat management.
I didn't bring the bejesus out of it. Yay.
Is your butt one here?
Yeah.
So to illustrate what we were talking about before, while that heats up, I'm getting real close to the camera here. So Levi was learning a lot about heat management, and you can see that it's real rough. There's even a real nice burn out there where he lost some of his metal. It got real gross. You could hit that with a wire wheel and make it shinier, but it would still have it looked like it was chewed on by mice with really hard teeth. So yeah, so once he gets this other one mostly finished up on the shaping, we'll put the two right next to each other and show the difference in how the finish looks right out of the forge when one piece got burnt up and one did not. And if, why not, since we're waiting on heat. Here's the one I did on the stream. You can see I got a little bit of a burn mark on the bottom, but that's pretty superficial. I could probably clean that up with the grind wheel, which is why I only did the brass finish on the top part. I'll clean that up real nice and then get this stuff hot and finish off on the brass. And maybe go buy a nice little train lantern and hang a lantern. Bada bing.
Closer to the temperature we need.
Getting close?
Yeah.
You know what your next step is, so you're not thinking about it before, while you're trying to do it?
Right now it's kind of tilted up. Need to get it straight out.
There you go. I find I do that a lot. I oh yeah, I just got to fix that. And I throw it in the fire and it comes out of the fire and I set it on the anvil. It's like, oh, what am I going to do? Oh, I got to do it and then you waste a bunch of heat. So think about your next step before you do it.
Not terribly time sensitive, but at the same time, they're kind of time sensitive.
Especially when you're working with spring steel, it requires a little bit more heat to move nicely. Got a thing when I'm helping teach the beginners class, people will pull their piece out of the fire, set it on the anvil, look at it for several minutes while they're thinking about what they're supposed to do, and then they'll be like, hey Jesse, come over here a minute, I need help. Okay, so I'll walk over to them, and they're like, so what do I do next? Like, well, you want to do such and such, and then they hit it and it's cold by then. It's like, well, first you want to get it hot, and when you get it hot, then you do the thing I just explained. Boop. So now he's just straightening that out a little bit to bring it all in line. It's a little low on the heat, but I won't beat him up about it.
Pretty close.
It looks, if you were to stand it up on the bottom, like while it was to simulate it hanging on a wall, to me it looks like it's climbing.
Yeah, and we're not really flat yet.
Yeah, you want to, what I would do is get it hot, flatten it, and then grab it high and just bend it down just a skosh. That's what I would do. So we're coming to a close on Levi's project here as far as the hammer and anvil part, so that's exciting.
There's enough room in there if you want to get back in the fire.
Sure.
Levi's throwing things again.
The only reason you haven't thrown anything is because you haven't been in the fire tonight. So
Shots fired.
usually.
Were you just hanging out and watching the live stream? Was there anybody in there asking questions or
No, nobody
anything?
yet.
Been pretty quiet?
Nobody yet.
Gotta figure out how I'm gonna manage my key piece. I have this piece of metal here that I don't remember what I was doing, but I hammered that down for some reason. So I think I'm gonna get that really hot and cut that off flat. And then I will, I don't have a big plan on how to make this key. I'm just gonna basically hit this metal until it's vaguely key shaped and go from there.
Hope for the best.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll just have to see how that turns out. I've never made a skeleton key before. Watched a guy do it on YouTube once. Said, yeah, it looks about right. And so we'll just have to see how it works out for me. Yeah, so I'll get it hot, cut off the little piece, and I'll make a real short little taper to make it match the dealie. And then I'll isolate some material for the key part, and that will give me the leeway into the stem. And then I'll chunk off a piece and drift it and shape it. Makes sense up here. We'll see if it
That's
makes
the
sense by the
dangerous
time
part.
it gets to the hammer. See how it plays out. With how you have to isolate that heat, I would almost say pull it out now and correct your wobble, and then put it back in sideways and correct the stem. However, if by correcting that stem, you may add a new wobble, so maybe lay it on its side now so the stem gets the heat.
Well,
Correct it, and then you can correct the wobble all in one heat.
I was kind of thinking that laying it down this way will get that center portion hot. And that's really where I'd want the twist to be at.
If you want to do it that way, I would say start with correcting how the hook raises, because that's going to make the whole thing bow. So correct the hook and then lay it flat and then tune the hook again. You're going to have to kind of work both angles at once.
Yep. Gonna be tons of fun.
Yeah, so you're going to take some fine tuning back and forth to get it to shape up. Kind of like doing a 90-degree bend. You got to hit it this way and that way, this way and that way, this way and that way to get it to work out.
Let's see. Oh, it's probably still too cold. Yeah.
Am I dying? Oh. Dude. Are we still tapering on your piece there, Brittney?
I was thinking might be about time to start rounding out the high points a little bit,
All right.
but she not hot yet.
You have to manage that fire a little bit. It's turning into a pit that gets much hotter. Hobbits might show up and try and chuck a ring in there.
I wouldn't be mad. I like hobbits.
I don't know. It's a really cool ring. I want a ring that turns me invisible.
Get all the consequences that come with it.
Yeah.
Could be worth it though.
I get to meet some horses and some ring rates.
You could meet some horses like a normal person. Also,
I mean,
She's not a normal person.
true.
and if it gets really dark out here, I can put on the ring, and when the eye of Sauron looks at me, it'll light up the area real nice, so then we can forge in the dark.
But nobody would be able to see what you were doing.
They just see the
They would
hammer
just see the
swinging.
metals shifting.
It
Which-
makes you wonder, like,
What's the extension there?
yeah, because he pulls the sword out, the sword's still invisible.
So if I'm
But-
holding tongs, then the tongs are invisible, but
But-
would the piece be?
Yeah, is the piece that you're holding with the tongs invisible?
Well, then we'll do it this way. We'll just work out the communication. You will hold the piece in the tongs, and I'll swing the hammer and do the work. Just look like you're willing the metal to move with your mind.
You
That
definitely
would be a
won't
neat trick.
mention anything about a magic ring and Jesse being invisible.
Our conversation went nerdy again.
Yeah, that's alright. We're nerds.
Let's watch this dance a little bit. Did you go a little bit lower than you want? Because when you hammer that down, the hook's going to stand
Yep.
up.
That's basically what I was thinking. And now we're going to start in the middle.
Well, you can just hit the outside ring with the hammer. Yeah.
Oh, that was over the.
Over the Hardy.
Yeah.
The hook's getting a little bit wonky again. We're going to have to adjust that. So,
Anything out of heat?
I wonder, can you hand me those wrenches real quick? We might be able. We might have enough heat. No, we don't have enough heat. I was going to try and correct that hook while you got it out. So what I would do is get that hot again, and I would lay it upside down over this horn and correct this section right here. And then, while you still got some heat, kick that back.
I think instead of putting it on the horn, I think taking one of these wrenches and smacking the wrench down would probably be the easier way to flatten it.
That might work too. Yeah, take a crack at it, see what happens.
Experimentation!
Yeah, it's a weird hook. It's proving to be more challenging than I expected it to. I expected it to be a challenge, but all that tuning really takes a lot of extra work. But it's a pretty sharp looking hook. I like it.
And we're pretty close to where it needs to be. We're getting there.
Very close. Yeah, is your piece burning off in there?
It's not sparkly yet.
We have to
So-
correct that fire too.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to do while she was.
Why don't you fix the fire and then, because I'm still not hot.
Yeah, can you put your piece on the anvil real quick? Because I don't want to accidentally scrape it in. Oh, you're going the other. You're going the wrong way, buddy.
Oh, you had initially said that it was the pit, so I wanted to make sure we didn't have a cavity underneath there.
Yeah, you can just smack it and that'll be fine. There you go. Drag some of this little stuff off to the edge, just like that, and then do the same thing over here. I almost grabbed the whole that hook and move out of the way.
That would have been a bad day.
I would have had some things to say that would.
End this stream.
So before you jump in there, let that heat up a little bit because we just added a bunch of green coal, as you can see by the green smoke. So we just need to let that heat back up. Which is a good time to take a break for a word from our sponsor. We don't have one yet. So if you want to sponsor, reach out. I don't remember what my email address is. jzeller@brimstoneford.us. Just poking some air holes in there so she can breathe
least one of us can.
Alright, now you burrow yourself in there. While she does that, I'll give a cigar company a free plug. Why not? HC Cigars. Very yummy. Nice daily driver kind of thing.
Toss me on top of that.
Mentioned earlier, once I learned about good cigars, my bank account was never the same. To save you guys, I won't tell you the name of the website, but I also discovered a website where you can get cigars for super cheap. And then my bank account was never the same again, and my humidor soon exploded with cigars, and I had to buy a much bigger humidor.
It's a very nice humidor, at least.
Thank you. My lighter, I should start recharging it before every swing because it died again. But that's why I made a cigar lighter. Probably about a year ago I made it. Made it out of stainless steel because I was at a Hammer In or like an IBA meeting at some shop, and there's a whole bucket of round bar stock. So I just grabbed one, started swinging on it, and it started crumbling apart and breaking. And I asked Kurt, like, what is this? Why does it keep breaking? He says, oh, that looks like stainless steel. I was like, so what do I do now? And he looked at me with a dumb expression on his face, and he's like, learn how to work it? All right.
Thanks, bud.
Like, that's the right answer. Like, go figure it out. So,
Excuse me.
of course. So I went over and jumped back in the fire. The individual, I don't remember his name, that was running the fire, it was just, it looked more like one of those things where people walk across coals. Like, the fire was huge. It's like, hey, can we fix this fire first? So I got the fire fixed, and then I learned that working stainless steel, it gets real upset about heat. Too much, it breaks. Too little, it breaks.
Should just make some of those for Mickey's.
What, some of these?
Yeah.
How would they heat it up?
Sounds like a them problem to figure out, not a you problem to figure out.
Yeah, if you sell cigar rests, you should put some of those up too. For people who go out camping and whatnot, just put it on like a 24-inch stick.
Get your buddy to light your cigar for you from across the campfire. Oh, somebody's sparking. Somebody wants to get out of there. If you come out sparking, jump in the dead coal.
And maybe not 24, but 16 or so. A little bit longer than what you got now.
I'm on fire.
That's right. Come out and scrape it off on the edge of the anvil.
While it's on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely running the risk of hobbits showing up.
Paper got a little jacked up there. Fix that.
So,
Which makes you wonder.
don't know if you were here when he was talking about it, but when you go in, try and
Not
keep
too
it
big.
more level with the bottom and not diving down into the bowl.
100% correct.
That's what happened when we
that.
lost our scroll last time.
So, question then. So they fought Sauron, and whatever his name was, cut the finger off of him, and the ring fell. I don't remember, but do they ever talk about how the ring went from that battle to the river for the river folk to find? Like, you would think, like, if you're fighting this guy and he's got the magic ring and he cut his finger off. Oh wait, no, that was the whole thing. He was there 2,000 years ago, and the guy refused to chuck it in.
He was there with the Isildur. Isildur said, "No, I'm going to keep it," and then he got attacked by some goblins and/or orcs in the woods, and he fell off into the river, and that's how it wound up.
That's right. I was there 2,000 years ago. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, but he wasn't there when it was lost. Just when it
So-
wasn't chucked in.
Now, this might be controversial, but if you're Elrond, who is what, several hundred years old, if not into the thousands, and you know what's the cost of one life for like war and strife? When that dude was all like, "No, I'm going to keep it," and he's like, "Throw it in," he's like, "No, I'm going to keep it." Why didn't Elrond just like, and like,
Especially because in the movie it shows him sitting there with his sword out. It's like just run him through, push the body in, you're good.
you're done. Like, movie's over, you know, or book is over. Why didn't Elrond, or even take one for the team and tackle him into the fire and go out as a hero?
Because then we wouldn't have stories.
I guess. It's just like that old thing. It's like, well, if the Eagles could carry him out, why did the Eagles carry him in? But there's a good explanation as to why the Eagles didn't carry him in. So,
yeah, the Nazguls.
well, there's that, which they clearly didn't have a problem with the Nazguls getting out because it shows them tearing them up. But also, if you're a hobbit with a magic ring coming in like a missile on an eagle, you're probably going to catch some attention. And also, the Eagles didn't want to get involved. That was like, that's their deal. We're going to hang out in our big old trees and stuff.
Yeah, if it happens, we can just go to the elves.
Amazing fact that people usually don't believe. I have never seen the extended cuts all the way through.
That is rather shocking.
I got about halfway through Fellowship and then got busy and never finished it. But it's cool. I got to see the mines of Mithril and stuff. That story I told where I jumped off to the edge, like the balcony at the movie theater wearing my trench coat.
Yeah.
I think I was there to see Return of the King.
Well, now you just teased the story, though.
I saw Return of the King 2.5 times in the movie, 3.5 times in the movie theater. One of the two, 2.5 or 3.5 times in the movie theater.
How many of those times were halves?
Just the one half. The person I was with got very ill, and she kept running to the bathroom and running back. And about after the 6th run, she tapped me on the shoulder. She's like, "Can we just leave?" Like, yeah, it's fine. So we left.
I don't think I'm quite getting hot enough where I'm at.
But to Levi's point of teasing the story, I was one of those weirdos that used to wear a trench coat in high school. It was like a Western style thick canvas duster. And I used to love to sit on the top row on the very far stage left, I guess you would say, right next to the wall, where if you looked over the wall, it would be where people walked in and stuff. And me and the high school girlfriend went and sat down got to our seats. And I said, "Hey, I'm going to go grab drinks and a popcorn. Do you want something?" She said, "Yeah, sure." And so without looking, I just vaulted myself over the wall and dropped down to the floor. It landed right in front of some woman that was coming around the corner, and she jumped and screamed, and I adjusted my collar to, pardon me, and walked around her. It wasn't until years later that it occurred to me, like, holy heck, if a child had been walking by there, or an elderly person, or an otherwise infirm person, I landed on top of them at 120 pounds from that far up, I probably would have made the news. Probably would have got to meet some cops that night too. So don't do dumb stuff like that. But I guess that's why you get to do dumb stuff like that when you're a teenager, because you're a dumb teenager.
They did not have cameras when we were that age, thankfully.
I definitely didn't do it for the Vine, because Vine was probably dang near 10 years later. Heck, smartphones weren't even a thing when I did that. Heck, phones weren't a thing when I did that.
No, phones were a thing. And
all the rich kids. I didn't get my phone until I was like senior. And then I had like a Nokia 3130 or something.
Seems very appropriate for you.
My very first cell phone was an Ericsson 1228 in black. they had a special edition silver one that was a tie-in for the first Tomb Raider movie. That's how old I am. Any chats, comments, questions
Nope.
off the quiet?
Yup.
I think my first phone was a Virgin Mobile flip phone.
Heck, my first one wasn't even a flip phone. I cracked the screen on it because I had it in my pocket and I went out skating, and there was these large metal pillars with a chain between them, and instead of going around it, I jumped over the chain, and when my legs came up, I heard a crack, and I pulled it out, and there's a crack on the plastic above the screen.
Let's see if I can do this.
So before you pull that out, because you got a minute, what are you going to do?
I'm going to take this, slap it on there, and smack it a couple of times.
Before you smack a couple of times, I would correct the bend, and then smack, and then correct the bend, while holding down a lot of pressure so it doesn't peel up on you.
Ready.
And then once you get that done, you'll pretty much done, and I'll jump in the fire. So yeah, correct that hook. Leave it going overboard a little bit, because when you smack that, it's going to come back. Yeah.
That's going to sit where I want it to. It's lined up, it hooks off to the side, and it still tilts up a little.
Hey, let's try something real quick. Give me that. Let me give you that. I have an idea. Come take a peek at that and tell me what you think. I got it mostly corrected. I'll take that from you. The hook's not completely in line with the nail hole, but I don't think you're going to get that unless you tighten this. You know what I mean? You're going to have to squeeze those together, and that might move it over a little bit.
Yeah. No, I'd say that's probably good enough to run with for now. I like it.
If you will, real quick, grab it right there, but from the other side, so it's being presented, and then we'll put it next to your other one so people can see.
Let me see it real quick.
Come on up here. So here's his first one. You can see it's just got a little bit chewed up and a little out of whack, but then if you look at his second one, look how clean that is and how much nicer that looks than the other one. Turn to the side there so you can see it. On the other side. So yeah, second one came out much nicer. So it just goes to show a little bit of practice will go a long way. I think that turned out pretty well.
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
I would not quench that and just throw it on the old hot shelf.
Yep.
Because that is tool steel or spring steel, and if you put it in there, it'll get all fragile. Do you have weather moving in on us?
There
Feels
was
like it. Smells like it.
storm down in like Greensburg that they.
It certainly feels like stuff. I don't want to be caught trying to run cameras and stuff inside in the rain.
I lost all that.
That is not nearly hot enough. But before you jump in there, alright, you can go ahead and jump back in there and let it come up the fire.
Change your camera.
What?
You were staring at the anvil, and all I was seeing was lower bodies walking around behind it.
Oh, from over here is the right camera.
Oh.
Stream just hadn't caught up with the switch yet.
Apparently. If you throw into one of those short pieces in there for me to make an S hook, was that going to make us too busy?
You want to make an S hook?
We need one more for the forge.
There's one right there. I just need to open up the hook a little bit.
Oh, okay.
That's the one I made on the stream a couple weeks ago. And it's closed up too much to fit the handle of either one of the tools. So I figured I would just heat up that hook and stretch it out just a little bit. It's a one heat deal.
Well,
I should probably get in the fire.
probably. Probably toss that S hook in there too.
Somebody want to pull up the radar on their phone?
I just looked at it. It's everything south of us.
Okay, so we're in the clear.
Now, the wind is blowing towards us.
But if everything's below us,
Yeah. Depends on if the storm stays over there or if it rolls over here.
oh, it's not our problem. Yeah, as long as the storms continue moving the way they're going.
It's all
it'll be
like
fine.
Greenwood.
Probably just getting the overspray.
I
you
can use
in the
another beverage. Anybody else?
Take a Gatorade.
I think there's only how many Pepsis are in the fridge when you went in there?
I honestly don't remember.
Can I have a Pepsi?
What color Gatorade?
Whatever, it's fine.
Is my hook hot yet? It's in the middle.
Even on the
Nope. So I'm thinking for the ticky-tock, I'll have metal, and I'll use my hammer, my other hammer. But camera starts up here, and then you'll follow hammer down, and then bam.
Do you want me to do it in front of you or on the side of you?
I'm thinking if you stand there and you just hold your phone out, then you can follow me like that. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So you'll be,
Yep, it made sense.
you know me, I love to belabor a point.
Not feeling it. Okay, so you just use the horn. Either one's fine. Thank you.
Yay! Now everything has a spot.
Yeah. Maybe don't pick up that rake for a minute though. That hook was just a little bit warm. So we'll do the video in which I just described, Miss Brittney. We will do it twice. The second time around, we'll do the first one will be the boomerang one where it's just hammer hitting metal, and then the second time around we'll do the hey subscribers blah blah blah. Capiche? So yeah, like I said, an hour and a half ago, you guys will get to see a little behind the scenes of shooting a TikTok. I wanted to do it before we started the stream, but we started it late because I was having technical difficulties. So we'll just do it during. But while we're at it, like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell acquaintances, tell your neighbor.
Anyone who will listen, really.
Yeah, basically anybody that will listen to words coming out of your mouth or out of the keyboard that you're controlling, tell everybody. Brimstoneforge.us or yt.brimstoneforge.us. Yeah. You hot enough to be interesting over here? Not even. Not sure how I feel about that clinker breaker. It takes up a lot of space in there, so I feel like it restricts the airflow.
I'm sure it does a fair bit. Probably be a lot easier to replace the fan than it would be the clinker breaker, though.
I'm not gonna lie, I've considered replacing the whole entire hot pot and that downspout dealie. A bigger fan would be nice, but I don't know if it's necessary, but it would be nice.
Yeah. I have a big old fan that we could duck foot from a ways away.
Pull one out of an old furnace or something.
Out of one of those blow-up bouncy houses.
I think we should try it.
That'd be like launching coal out the chimney.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good time.
We'd have to stick it way the heck away, that way the noise of it didn't interfere with the microphones.
We'll just put it in a, you know that fiberglass foam stuff that they use for insulation? We'll just put it in a box. And then run a duct in so it can breathe, so it doesn't just collapse the box the moment you turn it on.
We just do like a 3/4 box. The open end points towards the road.
All right, you want to do some boomerangs? Let me know when you are ready.
to start the hammer off at?
I was going to go right there, so if you'll come to here. And then I'm going to bring it straight down. You ready?
Yep.
Put that a couple times long.
Well,
Did you get it?
No.
Follow it down and like come over here.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, too fast?
Yeah, no, it didn't work.
We'll go way slower this time.